Hey there. So let's talk about something kind of weird, right? Every single year on February 2nd, we all just stop and ask a furry little rodent for a weather forecast. It's wild. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of the whole Groundhog Day story. I mean, think about it. It's hilarious. We've got satellites, supercomputers, all this incredible tech to predict the weather. And yet, every February, we're like, hey, let's ask this groundhog what he thinks. So, yeah, where did this idea even come from? And if you've ever caught it on TV, you know it's a huge deal. You've got crowds of people all bundled up in their winter gear, standing out in the freezing cold at the crack of dawn. And what are they waiting for? For a little animal to pop its head out of a hole. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Okay, so here's the deal with the tradition. The story goes like this. If the groundhog comes out and sees its shadow because it's a sunny day, he gets scared, runs back into his burrow, and boom, 6 more weeks of winter. But if it's a cloudy day and he doesn't see a shadow, well, that means spring is coming early. Simple as that.
All right, to figure this whole thing out, we got to go back in time, way, way back, because our first big clue isn't on some weather app. It's deep in the history books. See, this whole tradition didn't just pop up overnight. It's part of a much older story.
Think about it. Long before we had smartphones, farmers had a really tough job. Predicting when spring would actually start wasn't just for fun. It was a matter of survival. If you plant your crops too early and a big frost hits, you could lose everything. So they were constantly looking for any little sign in nature that could give them a hint. And you can kind of see how the whole thing grew over time. First, you just have farmers watching the seasons. Then you get this festival in Europe called Candlemas, where they believe the weather on that one specific day could predict the rest of the winter. And then, this is the best part, in Germany, they threw an animal into the mix. They started watching an animal's shadow to make the call. Wait, did you catch that? A hedgehog. Yep, you heard me right. Not a groundhog. A spiky little hedgehog was the OG weather predictor. So what gives? How on earth did we switch from a hedgehog to a groundhog? Okay, so this is clue number 2 in our big mystery. And the reason for this great animal switch up, well, it all comes down to people moving to a new country and having to, get a little creative. And honestly, the answer is super straightforward. When German immigrants came over to America, they brought their traditions with them, including the hedgehog thing. But there was one tiny problem. No hedgehogs in Pennsylvania. So they did the next best thing. They looked for an animal that was kind of similar, one that hibernated, and they landed on the groundhog. Problem solved. And let me tell you, the groundhog wasn't just a backup plan. Oh no. This little guy became a full-blown celebrity. In fact, there's one groundhog in particular who is basically the rock star of the animal kingdom. Let's meet the star of the show, Punxsutawney Phil. This is the official groundhog, hailing from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and he's been on the job since the late 1800s. Every year, this special group called the Inner Circle, they're the ones in the top hats, pull in from his burrow, and his prediction makes news literally everywhere. It's a whole thing. All right, so we've got the backstory, we've met the celebrity, but let's get down to it. The million-dollar question, is he any good at his job? Can this groundhog actually predict the weather? So the short answer from the science folks, not so much. Turns out, when you look at all his past predictions, Phil's accuracy is right around 50%, which, is basically the same as flipping a coin. Heads for more winter, tails for spring. And yeah, here's the official word. No better than chance. That's just the fancy scientific way of saying it's a total guess. So there's no real weather predicting magic going on here. Which leads us to the real mystery, right? If we all kind of know it's not accurate, then why do we still do it? Why do millions of people tune in every single year to watch?
Well, it turns out the answer is that we've been looking at it all wrong. The secret to Groundhog Day isn't about the weather at all.
It's not about science, it's about hope. I mean, come on. By the time February rolls around, everybody is just so over the cold, the gray skies, all of it. Groundhog Day is this fun, kind of silly excuse for everyone to get together, have a little fun, and just start thinking about spring. It's like a little bright spot in the middle of a long, cold winter. And that's really what it's all about. It doesn't actually matter what the groundhog predicts. The tradition itself is the real point. It's this shared moment that reminds all of us that winter can't last forever. Brighter, warmer days are coming, no matter what. So as we finish up, here's something to think about. What's a special tradition you have? It could be anything. A holiday, a certain meal, maybe a silly family game. What's something in your life that gives you that same feeling of hope, that feeling that good things are on the way? Thanks so much for joining me.